Well, we're live again today, and we're outside of Wisteria Place. Always loved this house. It was built in 1854, or finished in 1854, by Mr. Cannon. Mr. Cannon was a planter who wanted to have a home in town for his wife and children so they could go to Franklin Academy to the school. And it's called Wisteria Place because in this magnolia tree, you can see that vine at the bottom. That is a giant old wisteria vine that grows up in that tree. Unfortunately, a tree pruner nicked it. So it's not as grand and glorious as it was, but it will come back. Anyways, this house is haunted. It has a couple of ghosts. One of them is a woman who comes down the stairs. She has on a beautiful, elaborate dressing gown, and she flounces down the stairs, and then she kind of disappears right before she hits the bottom. And you can see through her, which is very interesting. We think it's Mrs. Cannon's daughter. And Mrs. Cannon was an interesting person. Her husband died, and her daughter was already grown and gone, and she had married a Mr. Meek. And Mr. Meek was from Alabama, and Mr. Meek, her son-in-law, had a brother. He was also a Mr. Meek, obviously. But he was a poet, a journalist, and a statesman in the Alabama State House. And so she married her daughter's brother-in-law. Yes, it's Mississippi, where our family trees are actually sticks. Anyways, I just found that interesting. And they lived here and till he passed, and he's buried in the same family plot as her first husband. And we presume she's in between, but both of the gentlemen have lovely headstones, but hers appears to be missing. We think she's in between, or else there's just space in between. In this house, there's also a piano that's been brought from another home, I believe in Louisiana. It belongs to one of the gentlemen who owns this house. It was in his family, and the piano is haunted because the woman that played the piano was wearing her brand new anniversary necklace, and was made of beautiful opals. I think they were fire opals. And her husband unalived her and then unalived himself. And so no one is allowed to wear opals in this house to prevent another such event. So there's that. This house still has its original well, which is right back there. And the back porch was the old kitchen, and we'll go back down there, and you can see where there's the well house and the detached kitchen, which is now the laundry room. And they've added on a beautiful kitchen to this house. But there's the old detached kitchen, and there was probably one preceding that. But there's a gentleman who's seen walking past these windows hurriedly, and he goes to the back here, and he disappears. We think that's Mr. Cannon, and he's on his way somewhere. There are also another ghost, but let's get back and look this way. So on foggy days, and I've seen this ghost, it's actually three ghosts. It's a horse, a black man leading a horse, and another man bent over the pommel of the horse. He appears to be injured or ill. And the two men come up through the fog, and then they come up the road, and you can hear the horse making noise. You can hear his clip-clop up the macadam, which would have been probably cobblestone. And then he gets about right here. He turns into the driveway, and then they all three disappear. They just evaporate. And that's a very significant ghost story. The man on the horse appears to be wearing Confederate gray. And, and it's not tattered, it looks to be in fairly good shape. The black man leading him, we can't see his feet, but he appears to be in